Goodbye, and evening, good QI. Welcome to Tonight Gone a Bit Random, Everything Has. And just when you're least expecting it, Bibble, 4 of them come along at once. Huh? Yes, so, in no particular order, all shook up, it's Daliso Chaponda. In a bit of a jumble, Sally Phillips. No idea if he's coming or going, Bill Bailey. And completely out of order, Alan Davis. For your buzzers, I have just put my personal playlist on random shuffle, OK? Oh. Yeah, the whole show is random, so here goes. Daliso goes.
Oh, wonderful.
That's good, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I like pomp and circumstance.
Sally goes. I have eclectic taste. Bill goes. You like that? Alan goes. Did you like that? Yeah, it was not very good, was it? Bit of a unique show. As far as we are aware, it is the very first one in the world where we've just asked the audience to stay home because we are doing the very first show with a virtual audience. Let's hear it for the people at home. OK, can you tell me something that is truly random?
Oh.
I mean, worth it just for that.
Just for that?
Yeah.
Elections, unless you're in Central Africa.
Or Russia or the United States. I mean, I think, you know, it's a pretty general thing now.
Exactly.
I like to think Africa led the way.
We led the way. We inspired you.
Yes.
Now everybody's the biggest.
Yes.
If you put your finger in your ear and scratch, you get the sound from Pac-Man.
What?
Do you?
At this moment, 705 people are doing this.
That is absolutely right. I can hear it.
Yeah, I'm glad to have it confirmed by musical maestro Bill Bailey.
No, it is absolutely... No, I can confirm that is musically correct. That's presumably how they came up with the sound in the first place. Somebody bored a gamer going, oh, hang on a minute, I've gone to something here.
That's fantastic. Extra point for Sally there. But the question is really about random playlists. So, you know, for example, on Spotify, you can have shuffle or random, can't you? So the thing is that people thought that the random function didn't shuffle the songs randomly enough. And it turns out the system was entirely random, but we can't process that because our brains look for patterns. And so what happens is if we hear a song 3 times in a row, which could happen if the song list was entirely random, we feel that some are being played more than others, some are being ignored, some possibly being blacklisted. And so they had to change the algorithm to make it seem
more random
than it actually was.
I just thought of something that's random, and that's birdsong.
Is that entirely random?
It's stochastic.
OK.
And what... You see, that's just the sort of attitude which we've tried to stamp out on this show. Ooh, get you with your knowledge.
No, I think he's being stochastic.
No, I'm being stochastic.
Third songs, it was stochastic.
Yes.
Oh, that was a curlew being sarcastic.
Yeah, see?
Not sarcastic.
No.
Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say now. Oh, yeah. Stochastic.
Something amazing from Stoke.
Stoke, yes. That is stochastic.
Presumably, darling, they
Not
have a
Robbie Williams. What?
set number of sounds that they can make.
No, the thing is that it's one of the reasons why birdsong is so relaxing, because it's slightly random. It's like if we listen to repetitive beats, eventually it gets on your nerves, or a drill or something. It's just exactly the same every time. Da, 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 da. But birdsong, it varies ever so slightly, just slightly enough, so that we love it. My favourite bird, obviously, is the great tit, not just for the...
I mean, I'm with you, Bill.
Not just for the reasons, those base reasons.
I like the cock.
I know the cock, yes, the cock, the big... How have we gone down the road of innuendo so soon? So soon in the great...
All the birds in the world and it's the great tit.
Listen, it imitates the alarm calls of other birds, right? It's brilliant. So when it goes to the feeder in your garden, it goes and does the alarm call, and all the birds go, oh, and they all leg it, and the great goes, ha ha, and just eats all the food.
I want a bird on my feeder that goes, ha ha.
Yeah.
The National Lottery, what do you reckon? Random or not random?
Got to be random, surely.
Yeah, no, it's totally random. So what's the sensible technique? If you're going to play the lottery, lots of people do...
Buy lots and lots and lots of tickets.
Just buy them all.
Buy them all.
Yeah.
Buy them all.
Buy them all. Yes. No, you need to play the numbers that nobody else does. It doesn't mean you're more likely to win. It just means you're less likely to share the prize. So people tend to play numbers with their birthday in. So anything over 31 is a very good idea. People, weirdly, 7 still regarded as a lucky number, so don't play things with 7 in. Don't play last week's numbers. Apparently, the Germans had the time to do a study, and they found 12,000 people who were playing last week's numbers. I mean, I don't mind the Germans particularly. I'm not having a go in any way at the Germans.
Sounds like
Don't get me started. Having this Zoom audience feels like there's another studio with the show going on that people are laughing at.
Yeah. Anton Decker next door.
Yeah. I like the fact you can hear things through. I did a show in the West End once, and the theatre next to me was Les Miserables. And during the death scene, I deliberately engineered it so my entire audience sang La Bamba, right? so in this heart-rending death scene, you could just hear... It was, apparently it was a highlight for the stage management every night.
Random playlists are programmed not to be random, so you think they're random. How random is that? But why is young people's music so bloody repetitive?
How young do you mean? Are you talking Cardi B or, like, Best of CBeebies? Like...
Oh, that's a very good point, actually.
You're talking very young people. Are you talking the hit parade?
Yes, the hit parade, yes. The top 10.
The most repetitive music ever is South African music called Kwaito.
OK.
And the whole song has, like, one lyric. Like, there was one which was just traffic cop, 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 traffic cop, 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 for the whole song. But, you know, it's got lots of instrumentals and the lyrics don't matter. But yeah.
Wow.
Massively repetitive.
Is that seriously why music's getting more repetitive? Because we're getting more African... more rhythmic.
No, but it is becoming more repetitive. So they did a study in 2012. They studied almost 500,000 songs recorded between 1955 and 2010. Yes. And the most recent songs feature less variety in pitch. But also timbral variety, which I don't even know what that is, darling.
The timbre, so like a string sound would be different to a brass or woodwind. That's the timbre.
Well, apparently it peaked in the 1960s and it's been declining ever since. And also modern songs have got louder, but there is less variation in volume.
And sadder.
And sadder. But part of the problem is it's the same people writing songs for different artists.
That's right.
So in 2012, 3 of the most commercially successful songs, Taylor Swift's We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, Katy Perry's Part of Me and Maroon 5's Payphone were all written by the same company, a company called Paratone, which is a Swedish music production company. And it's also a matter of perception. Apparently, people tend to have, as they get older, to listen to less new music.
Yes.
So by the time you're about 33, you stop listening to new music altogether.
Yeah.
They did a survey, a music streaming site called Deezer, and they found 60% of respondents listen to the same songs over and over again.
Yeah. We crave familiarity.
We do.
And even when it's something new, I think you want it to be what you're familiar with, just different enough to make you think it's something different. But if it was truly original, you'd be upset.
That's right.
But I also think, doesn't every generation bemoan the next generation's music? Like, people who love Beethoven would be like, oh, this Chopin, it's noise.
Just like your tit song.
I beg it. I'm so glad you brought that back.
Yes, I was wondering when you were going to bring up my tit song.
song is fascinating because it's the same but ever so slightly varied.
Yes.
Surely young people's music, Bill, is young people's music.
Yes.
Also endlessly fascinating because of the interruptions that surface every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I concur. I concur with Miss Phillips.
Welcome to After Dark. When I was at boarding school, we had a gramophone that was given to us by a parent, but we had one single, and it was Leaving on a Jet Plane. I know. But when is it a good idea to put a round thing in a square hole?
Oh.
Yes, Daliso.
When you're dating a robot.
Yes. Well,
No is the answer.
No.
OK, here is the thing. There is an actual practical application for this. Trees do better if you plant them in square holes. Now, this is a marvellous thing, partly because it's obviously easier to dig a square
well, God, yes.
hole is the first thing. So what happens if you plant a tree into a round hole, the tree roots, they become used to the sort of recently turned soil that they've been planted in, and when they hit the compacted soil at the edge of the hole, they respond by spiralling around the edge. And eventually they'll grow into a tight ring and you can actually choke or even kill the plant. If you have a square hole, the tree roots are going to do better because they're not good at turning right angles. They just don't like it.
Oh. Very clever. Who discovered that?
I know, isn't it wonderful? So if you put it in a round hole, it'll grow around like that. But if you put it in a square hole, once it gets to the edge, it'll think, well, I just need to keep going. And it'll push through the soil. And so a square-holed tree can much more easily establish itself. I did not know this. And I mean, I didn't plant all that many trees, if I'm honest with you.
No. Well, I mean, you don't tend to, do you?
No.
I mean...
Well, do you know what the Guinness World Record is for the most trees planted by an individual in 24 hours? How many do you think?
In 24 hours?
I'm sure it was a drug dealer, marijuana.
No, actual trees.
By hand, was this?
Yes, by hand.
By hand.
Yep.
Oh,
5,000.
and one.
15,170 red pine seedlings. It's a gentleman called Ken Chaplin from Saskatoon in central Canada. This is Ken here. And he broke the previous record of 12,380 trees, which had been set by his twin brother, Kurt.
You've got this sort of rival forests.
I know, isn't this the most extraordinary thing? It's one tree every 4.5 seconds.
That's extraordinary.
Is it?
Which would you rather be, a square peg in a round hole or a round peg in a square hole?
The tree one, I'm going to go, I'd like to be round peg in a square hole, please, Sandy. Answer 2.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, darling. A round peg in a square hole is a better fit. So it will fill a maximum of 79%, whereas the square peg can only fill 64% of the round hole. And sometimes it matters. What is the most famous example of fitting a square peg in a round hole that saved lives? Does anybody know?
I know this, Apollo 13.
It is
I've got to put this, what's the quote? This in that.
Yes. What? Is that it? This
Yes.
and that.
What's
It's
that
like
quote?
the
What is
worst
it?
chat-up line ever. So put this in that. Come on. Just get on with it.
I want to put that on this.
On this. Have you got 2 of those?
It's from Apollo 13, yeah.
So what happened was there was an explosion and it forced the crew into the lunar module. It was sort of a kind of lifeboat, really. So it was designed for 2 people for 36 hours and not 3 astronauts for 96 hours, and carbon dioxide was building up fast, and they needed to replace something known as CO2 scrubbers, which is a sort of piece of equipment which absorbs CO2, and they only had square scrubbers from the main command module. And so they did a sort of bodge. They used 2 pairs of underpants, technically known as liquid cooling garment bags. I know, that's what I call them.
I'm going to call them now, yeah?
I know, exactly.
It's wonderful.
It's the only thing.
It's much more.
2 hoses.
Good name for your pants.
Yes, LCG bags. 2 socks, a bungee cord, and a lot of duct tape. And it got them home.
In other words, a bra.
Yeah.
Bra.
Did anyone see the NASA transcripts of when the poo escaped? I spend a lot of time in deep Google. Much more time than I should. No, but they release all the transcripts of all the astronauts' conversations.
Yeah.
And if you search through, you can find quite a lot of transcripts of escaped astronaut poo and the chat around whose is that? It's definitely not floating around.
How would you know if it was yours or not? I mean,
Oh, you would know. You
I
would
think
know.
you would.
no.
Well, you just deny it anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it was yours, you go, it's one of mine!
Look at that.
Mama,
Come on.
Look at that.
They use a lot of duct tape. Does anybody know if it's duck tape or duct tape, which is correct?
I would make a bid for duct, as in they would fixing ducts. Mm-hmm. Fixing ducts
Or is it
with...
duck a brand name?
No, so it was originally called duck tape.
Was it?
Dates from 1899. It comes from the word doik in Dutch, which means canvas, so it was canvas-backed tape. So duck tape is the original.
When I was at boarding school, we used to wax our legs with it.
No.
Did you really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. We used to have that loo roll that was like
I
airmail
do.
paper. We used to write home on that as a sort of hint at how bad things were.
Dear Mum and Dad, I'm writing this with my own shit.
What's it called? Faisal paper.
At least I think it's mine. It was floating past.
I'm in zero gravity. This is the worst boarding school I've ever been to.
Here's a risky question for you, Sally. Can you explain male idiot theory?
I guess it's the fact that men are idiots.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yes.
I always think, like, one man isn't an idiot, but when we congregate, you become idiotic. Like, for example, if you're alone and you go to a curry house,
Yes.
you will order a sensible curry. But if you're with your mates, you order the hottest one.
Yeah.
You don't want your teenage boy going in a car with other teenage boys.
That's exactly it.
He's
a
much
herd
more
thing.
likely to die if he's got friends in the car.
The phrase male idiot theory was coined by an American cartoonist called John McPherson, but it sort of made its way into scientific literature. And it's the fact that men are more likely to take risks, especially young men. In fact, the #1 killer of young men aged about 15 to 34 is stupidity. They have more emergency department admissions, more sporting injuries, higher mortality due to accidents, just much more likely to take senseless risks where the actual payoff is negligible or even non-existent.
Such as becoming a comedian.
Yes, exactly. Just very foolish. But the idea is that men are inherently more risk-taking. I mean, it's a slightly controversial idea. It's also to do with conditioning, that young boys are sort of brought up to,
Yes,
go
to
on.
test themselves.
You're
Yeah.
reinforced if you
Yeah.
take a risk. It's like...
Yeah.
It's awful, the clothing for kids. The young boys, all the T-shirts, are rascal, terror, brave, and girls are cutesy. Princess.
Yeah.
A friend of mine noticed the other day that photographic adverts for a particular sporting brand, all the boys and men were actually engaging in the sport, whereas all the girls and women were simply stretching or posing with a ball.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I see. I think it's women tend to be a bit more organised and empathetic, and I've got to say I trust women more when it comes to, say, something like a global pandemic. You know, I think all the countries that are run by women have done much better than the ones run
Well,
by
there's
men,
an
haven't
interesting theory about that. To be honest, people argue it on both sides. But you're absolutely right that, for example, New Zealand did extremely well during the pandemic.
Yes, Angela,
And
Jacinda.
It actually angers me to watch how sensible she is.
Oh, really?
It's like going over to see someone who's got a better marriage than yours. Every time he's like, she's making so much sense.
Now, let's spend some time with my favourite army official. It's General Ignorance, yes. There, thank you. Fingers on buzzers, please. Apart from humans, what's the world's deadliest mammal?
Hippos.
Hippos are unbelievably dangerous. Yes.
Yes. Oh, was I right?
No.
Oh.
Certainly, if you are travelling in Africa, the hippo is more dangerous almost than any other creature.
The guides at Lake Malawi, like, put the fear of God in you. But then again, like when I was in Rwanda, it's the gorillas. I guess whatever guide you are.
The hippos are unbelievably dangerous. And what's annoying is they'll kill you.
They lactate pink milk. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Do they like Charlie and Lola?
Yeah.
Like Charlie and Lola.
There's a big problem in Colombia with hippos. Pablo Escobar's hippos. You know, the renowned cocaine dealer? He bought a load of hippos in the 80s, and then it all went wrong for him, obviously. And but the hippos have survived and mated and procreated. There's now about 80 of the so-called cocaine hippos.
Are they doing their own drug deals on the side?
They're doing their own...
It's not a hippo. The world's deadliest mammal. It's dogs.
Has this been tested? If we put a hippo versus a dog, I'm betting on the hippo.
Well, it's about how many deaths it causes. It's the spread of rabies. It kills 25,000 people every year, so they are responsible, the dogs, for 99% of infections, particularly in countries where there's a large number of stray dogs, so places like India and so on are particularly at risk. Does anybody know how to calculate the age of a dog in human years?
I've heard people talk about this, but time is not subjective.
No.
Right? It can't be like, how old are you? I'm 40, but I'm 20 Daliso years. Like, time is time. Right?
Well, it isn't, because how long does a dog live?
Well, 15 if you're...
Yeah.
So 20 if you're lucky.
It lives about 15 years, and a human being maybe sort of 80 years.
Yeah.
And so what used to be the calculation? So,
7.
Yeah, a human year was 7 dog years, and it's bunk, apparently. They've done a new study of Labradors, and what you have to do is multiply the natural logarithm of a dog's age by 16, and then you add 31. So I did this for my dog, who is 4¼ years old, and it made her 54.
Oh.
So you would think, in old money, that she was, you know, coming up to 30, but in fact she's much older than you thought.
So my age is 16 times the dog's age.
Minus 31.
Is it
Plus
okay
31.
to say, I feel you've not entirely grasped?
No, hold on. That would mean the dog is thousands of years old.
Yes.
You haven't put a logarithm in. You know, the thing the dog does first thing in the morning.
Oh, that, yes. Log off, yeah.
So
Get it in a bag.
So logarithmic growth has the effect that the rate of growth diminishes over time. So it's the opposite of exponential.
OK.
A logarithm. So something grows exponentially bigger, then the increase gets more and more as time goes on. So, for example, an infectious disease is exponential. So it starts with a few people, and then as time goes by, it infects more and more people. Yes. Something which grows logarithmically gets large very quickly, but the increase quickly flattens out. So for example, losing weight, you probably lose a lot the first month. As time goes by, you lose only a little bit. And it's
Does it mean dogs age more slowly?
So what happens is they age very quickly to start with, and then it levels off. So if we have a look at a list, we've got, so for example, a 3-month-old dog is the same as a 9-year-old human. Can you see how it changes? 6 months is 19, a year, 31. It just takes 1 year to reach that age. Oh, wow. So by the time it gets to where my dog is, 4 years old, 53 years.
That's
so
really interesting.
This formula, I have to say, is specific to Labradors, and it does vary. Why should you put lots of plants in your flat?
Whatever you
Because of the lovely way that they produce oxygen.
So what are you saying? Better air quality?
Better air quality.
Better air quality.
There we go.
So they look really nice in houses, but they've done a study at Drexel University in Philadelphia, and they found if you wanted to purify the air in your home, you would need between 100 and 1,000 plants per square metre. I think open the window. That's what I'm going to go with.
Bit of Febreze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. They have a positive benefit, plants, if you spend time around them, because it makes you feel better. It's good for depression. In fact, the Japanese have a thing called forest bathing.
Shinriku.
Shinryoku. And it's just about going outdoors, listening to the sounds, tasting the air, they talk about.
Yes.
I suppose, especially important in Japan, because about 80% of people live in cities in Japan. Now, each of you has a coconut.
Oh,
now,
this is wonderful.
I want you to give it a shake. What liquid are you listening for?
Coconut milk, is it, right? Coconut.
No.
No. Oh. All right, then.
No, it's water. There is no milk in a coconut.
Isn't the water from a coconut called coconut milk?
No. So coconuts have coconut water in them, but coconut milk is made from pulped coconut flesh.
Do you know it's illegal to send coconuts to Fiji by mail?
How deep is the Googling that you do?
What?
Because I wanted to send a coconut to Fiji and
Why?
was not allowed.
No, but why would you even want to?
I was on Taskmaster. It was like, get the coconut as far away as possible.
Right.
So I thought, I'll post it to Fiji.
Yes.
Turned out it's banned.
That's all I want to do now.
I'm guessing the postage would be quite expensive.
Yeah.
Well, could you not just put a stamp on it?
It's illegal, so
you
you
just
want
put
to
a-
conceal it. You want to convince them it's not a coconut.
Ah, but that's exactly what they think you would do. They would go, they surely wouldn't have just put a label on the outside of the coconut. No, only a man would do that. Only an idiot would have thought that would have been fine.
Put it in a square box.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, coconuts away. Thank you. Now to return to the random theme of today's show. You've got weapons under your desk. Please put your masks on, because I don't want anybody to get hurt. And I want you to demonstrate firing at random.
Now, I hope none of you is an American policeman.
At random?
Yeah. Which way did you fire it, darling?
I fired at Sally.
OK, fire at random.
Now I'm going to fire at Delete.
Well, Sally, actually...
Wait, hold on.
What, have you not... Pull the thing down, darling.
Wait!
Oh!
That was the loudest noise I've ever heard in my entire life.
Bill, have you fired one yet?
No, I haven't. Oh, sorry.
Wow, they're quite
It
strong.
went off in my hand, Governor.
Oh, aren't they quite painful?
My great tit.
OK, stop now. Stop.
This is why I don't let the kids have them.
Wow! Oh, that's so loud.
It's really... They're quite fierce.
Say hello to my little friend.
Tell me that Alan's run out of bullets.
OK, that's it. No more firing.
OK, so the word random, originally it was about something happening at great speed, but when you were told to fire at random if you were a soldier, it had a really specific meaning, and the idea was that you wanted to fire the maximum possible range.
Yes.
And the way to do that is to fire at exactly 45 degrees upwards. The very first thing that you did, Sally, was that you fired at this angle. It's sort of intuitive. That used to be known as firing at random.
My favourite fact about bullets,
Wow.
which I think I learnt here,
Yeah.
is if you fire a bullet from a gun and at the same moment you drop a bullet, the two bullets will hit the ground at the same time.
No.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Really,
But doesn't
hard to believe.
that depend on the gun?
This is very boring, but I think it's because there's force coming that way and force coming that way.
Yeah.
So you change this force, it's going to still interact with the gravity. I don't know what I'm saying.
probably- that sounded
it's a
good.
force thing.
That sounded...
It's a
I would
force-
go with that.
yeah,
I would have the
go with-
confidence to go with
Yeah,
that.
I should have just
think
said
that's
it more
very good.
confidently.
Yeah.
Yes, I should have thrown in logarithms and everything. Yes.
Look, we could try that with a Nerf bullet. Right?
Okay.
OK.
Okay.
If I fire it, right, and then drop it at the same time...
OK.
OK, here we go.
Yeah.
OK. Do you want to count me down? What have I got to do?
Over here. I'm going to yell when I see the bullet.
OK.
Are you
ground.
being the target?
OK.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it happened.
It happened.
Exactly,
That was
that's
it.
exactly what happened.
It totally did. You can hear the noises.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Weird, isn't it?
Well, that's the finest experiment I wasn't expecting.
That was just...
So, to fire at random used to be just to fire up in the air the furthest you could. The idea of something being random the way we use it today is a much more modern usage. Right, it's time for the scores, which I'm going to assign randomly. In fourth place, with -1 million, it's Bill!
Yes! I've never had a million.
In third place, with 33, it's Sally! Second, with 68, it's Daliso! And first, with a record 150,000, that's the weight of a blue whale in kilograms. What are the odds? It's Alan Davis! It only remains me to thank Daliso and Sally and Bill and Alan. That's all from QI this time, and I leave you with this radical random number remark from astronomer Arthur Eddington. We used to think that if we knew 1, we knew 2, because 1 and 1 are 2. But we are finding that we must learn a great deal more about and. Thank you, and good night.